Hi lovely people, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you can stay updated when I post new videos. This video is something that I've been really excited to record, and it's something that I pretty much have not shut up about on any social media platform or in person and in real life, and that is running. So I have just been obsessed with running this last 6 months, and on Saturday the 29th of July I actually ran my first ever half marathon. So this was a huge achievement for me. Like, I'd been training since January to build myself up to be ready to run at this race, and then to see myself go from the start line to the finish line was such a surreal and emotional experience. I will never forget the feeling of crossing that finish line and how much it meant to me, how much it meant to my family and friends, seeing them cheering me on and supporting me on the other side. It was something that will live with me for the rest of my life. But this running journey has really taught me so much about myself. It has allowed me to learn about my mind, my body, my resilience, and how far I can push myself, and just how capable we all are for achieving the things that we set our mind to. And so I'm taking every lesson that I took from running and applying it to all other parts of my life. But I just wanted to share what my running journey has been like and what race day was like, in case you're also interested in picking up running and want to do it yourself, because I think we are all runners and we're all capable of trying something new. Even if it's as daunting as ever, we all start from somewhere, and it's only through showing up for ourselves that we can improve and we can really get to the point where we are just in awe of what we're capable of doing. But to start us off and to give you a bit of context in terms of what my fitness background is, it pretty much was non-existent. So I was not like a runner beforehand. I may have gone on a few jogs with friends over the years, but it was nothing ever where I could do a 5k. Like, I'd never done a 5k until this year. And so with that in mind, I started off with a beginner running course. So I signed up to my local running club, and they did a 10-week beginner running course where you go from 0 to 5k over those 10 weeks. And this was such a great foundation for me to learn how to run properly, some of the mindset and things to keep in mind about the slow pace, the fast pace, or how to be able to make sure you're talking whilst running, like that being a comfortable pace for you. I learned so much through that, and I learned what the power of a community can be like when it comes to your running journey. And then I graduated from this running course. We actually took a photo as a group, and it was just very wholesome. I got a certificate and everything, and I embarked on the next part of my training, which was to start a half marathon training plan on the Nike Run Club app. I always talk about the Nike Run Club app because I just think it's just a phenomenal app. It's free. It has a ton of guided runs, non-guided runs, different types of runs on there that you can take, and you can just start going with different plans as well. So I did a 14-week half marathon training plan with them, and this really incorporated everything from speed runs to hill runs to long distance runs to recovery runs. All of them were included, and you always have the option of doing it as a guided run or non-guided run with the Nike Running Club head coaches or coaches on there. So that was another great learning opportunity. I got to learn so much about running, so much about what you need to think about when it comes to your form, your breathing, how to structure a long run, whether it's a 10k or 15k, etc. And so that journey was so interesting. Like, the first few weeks you're building up to go to those longer distances, and I will never forget the feeling of completing my first ever 5k non-stop, my first ever 10k long distance, 15k. I cried when I arrived home, and then to obviously do the 21k last week. Each of those milestones have meant so much for me, because it was a combination of all of those runs beforehand that built me up to getting to that point. And so yeah, I just got invested. Like, I kid you not, I started buying a ton of clothes for running gear. I got the vest for my birthday. I started asking for running stuff for my birthday. I got some proper running trainers, so I got my gait analysis done, and this is basically where they measure your feet, they assess you to find out what's the best shoes that will bring you comfort and support your running. And so I got some shoes for that and invested in those. But I really stepped into this new lifestyle and this new goal of mine to be able to run this half marathon. And yeah, it was honestly the best journey. There's so many things that I've learned from doing that about my mind, my body, that I will take into everything that I do. My resilience, I've learned so much about myself and what I'm capable of doing, my strengths. Going up into like race day on the 29th, I had like a few runs beforehand. Those were really good. Some of them were rubbish. Like, one thing about running is that you have some great ones, you have some rubbish ones, and you have some in-between ones. But you need to have the bad ones in order to appreciate when the ones are super good and great. And even on race day, you honestly just don't know what to expect until you're running that race. And I remember going into the race, so the Friday night beforehand, and I was just thinking about how do I want to feel when I cross the finish line. I was really talking positively about the experience. I was saying I want to feel accomplished, I want to feel happy, I want to feel relieved, all these emotions. And then when you actually do them the day after, it hits you plus a ton more of emotions that you did not expect whatsoever. And I was feeling really nervous about it because I knew what my body could do when it comes to 16k. So alongside distance I'd run to the point through half marathon was 16k, and so 21k was a whole nother 5 and a bit more k's than I had done before. So I kind of had an idea of how I can navigate 16k, but I did not know how 21k would feel and what the adrenaline would do for me on that day. But going into it, like on the morning of, I woke up super early, so I was up by 6 so that I could start fueling up. So I was eating my bagels that I made the night before. I had some oats in a pot, I had flapjacks, I had lots of drink and water and electrolytes so that I could feel prepared for the start of the race and the rest of the race, so I'm hydrated and I'm nourished. And then when we got to the race village, it was so wholesome, seeing all of the runners there and seeing them prepare, seeing them with their families and people dropping off stuff and just sort of psyching themselves up for this big day. It really just felt like we'd all come together and worked so hard to reach this point, this milestone, and we're gonna like embark on this run together. And we all did like a warm-up, so they led like a group warm-up alongside the starting line, and this helped us to get stretched out and to make sure we were feeling ready for what was to come on the actual race itself. And since we're running up at Sea Park, there were 8.5 laps to run around this one park, and remembering that we need to keep an eye on our laps, which was actually harder than I thought. I thought, yeah, it's fine, I'll keep an eye on how many laps I got. No, I was forgetting. Like, I remember it was like 6 laps in and I had 2 laps to go, and I kept telling everyone, it's my last lap, it's my last lap. It was not my last lap. I had 2 laps to go, and even on my last lap, I don't know what happened, but I completely forgot that I still had another lap to go. So again, I was like, it's my last lap, it's my last lap. It was not my last lap because I was on 18k and I still had 3k to go. So that was another lap around this Battersea Park. So it was so mentally taxing and took so much to like push myself to go past the pain that I was feeling in my body, go past the pain that I was feeling in my head, because most people had completed the run. But I know, this is at the end. So we went to the start line, and if you haven't had like a race before, what they do is they section you based on your expected finish time. So if you're trying to go for 1 hour 10, go out at the front, and then so forth, like 2 hours 10, 2 hours 30, like everybody's sectioned off. So I was towards the back because I was anticipating like, this was ambitious, I was saying 2:30, but I was more like a 2:50, so I should have shuffled more to the back, but I didn't. That's besides the point. So at 2:30 I was there ready to go, and we hit it off when they said it's time to start, and I was going fast. I'll never forget those first 2 kilometers. I was doing like 6.5 minutes, and that's fast compared to what I can do. Like, my average speed, like on a long one, is like 7.5 minutes between 7.5 minutes and 8.5 minutes. So to be doing 6.5 minutes was super fast. So that's the one regret that I had when it comes to starting that race, was that I started way too fast. I should have been a lot slower, but because you're in a crowd of people, there's so much adrenaline and there's so much excitement that you can't help but just like go with the crowd and just run as fast as they're going. So after those 2 laps, I then started to slow down. I was like, no, I can't sustain the speed that I was going at before. So then I dropped back to my 7.5 pace and carried that on for like another 10k, and then I dropped again to like 8 minutes or something like that. But yeah, I just progressively got a little bit slower, which I was like a bit annoyed at myself, but I also had to remind myself that it is a long distance run. So it's not so much about how quick I can do a kilometer, it's about just completing this run. And all throughout the park or the lap I always see family, and it was just so encouraging to see them cheering my name on, to saying like, keep going, you've got this. I'd see my friends maybe encouraging me too, and it honestly kept me going so much. Like, another person who kept me going was the official motivator for the race. He was phenomenal. He was always cheering me on. He was telling me that it was my half marathon, and it just kept me just like pushing, which I really needed, because by like 16 kilometers in, I was mentally just like done. My body was done, my feet were in pain, and I was just almost plodding along. And then I'd get like motivated like for another K and just like run a bit faster, then I start plodding again. So it's like fluctuating between the two. But I was just like really going through it when it came to those final kilometers. And so I remember when I crossed the finish line, not even crossing it, I could see the finish line and I was running towards it, and I just couldn't help myself but to start crying. I was so overwhelmed with the pain that I was feeling. I was overwhelmed with the feelings of just like joy that I was getting to the finish line, of proudness that I felt for myself, of just happiness to see my friends and my family just like cheering me on. Like, it was such an emotional finish, and because I was like one of the final like batch of people that were finishing the race, so many people had done the race and had like left and packed up, so it really felt like it was a solo moment, because there was nobody else that was finishing at the same time with me for like another 30 plus seconds. So I really got to bask in that moment of just like crossing that finish line by myself, getting the medal, seeing my friends and family, lots of hugs. I got flowers from Janelle.
It's done.
I just got to just share that moment with everybody there, and it was just so surreal. I will always remember that moment, and yeah, it made for a beautiful race day. But I just learned a lot about how when your body's going through it, you will always find some strength within yourself just to complete what you started. And I think that's such a big lesson that I'm going to take into like all parts of my life. But having done that half marathon, I remember somebody asked me like, would you do it again? I think I definitely would. There is something about the training, there's something about doing the run that just, it's a journey, you know. It takes you from A to B, and you see so much along that way that you can't help but do it all again. You can't help but chase that adrenaline that you felt when you were on that journey. So I definitely can see myself running again, but maybe not for a while. I think I'll wait like at least 6 months before I do like another half marathon, or maybe even a bit further. But it was such an incredible experience. I definitely would encourage other people to do it again. Like, you do not have to be a runner to sign up for a half marathon or sign up for a 10K or a 5K. You just have to sign up, and then you will start your training and you get yourself to that point where you are going to be running it. But from the point of running that first run, you are a runner. I think I felt so hesitant to identify as a runner until I ran this half marathon, because I was like, I needed something to say that, yeah, I'm a runner because I ran this. But from the first moment you go for a run, you are a runner. And just own that, just accept that that's what you're doing, and it doesn't have to look a certain way, it doesn't have to go a certain speed in order to qualify. Like, the fact that you are moving your body and you're running makes you a runner. So yeah, I just encourage anybody else who wants to give it a go to give it a go. Yeah, I just wanted to document what the process of running has been like, what race day was like for me, if I would do it again, which is a yes, I definitely would do it again, and just the things I enjoyed and found difficult about that entire run. But that was my experience. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you're gonna run, definitely comment below, because I'd love to cheer you on. I'd love to encourage you, or just share with you the things that helped me to prepare for my half marathon. But thank you so much for watching today's video.